I'm William Holtz with Lake TV, and I'm excited to welcome you to a very important night of local forums right here on Lake TV, presented by O'Sullivan Bruce Group, RE/MAX Lake of the Ozarks. A big shout out to the Camdenton and Lake Area Chamber of Commerce's for collaborating with us on tonight's forum. I'd also like to thank our official radio partner, the Key Radio Station, as well as our official news partners, LakeExpo.com. Now, as much as we all complain and let our opinion be known on national politics, it goes without saying that our local elected officials are the ones that affect us directly the most. Tonight's forum will include candidates for Camdenton Aldermen, Wards 1 and 3, for Mayor of Osage Beach, and candidates for the Camdenton School Board. With that being said, we applaud you for tuning in and getting involved. Tonight's forum wouldn't be possible without the generosity of our sponsors. Tonight's broadcast live on Lake TV is presented by O'Sullivan Bruce Group, RE/MAX Lake of the Ozarks, Bridal Cave, Rough Water Dock, Central Ozarks Medical Center, LakeExpo.com, the Key Radio Station, and of course, the Lake Area and Camdenton Chamber of Commerce. Now, sit back and get ready for a great night of getting to know the candidates. At this point, I'm honored to turn it over to our moderator for tonight, broadcasting live from the Camdenton Chamber of Commerce, Luke Hagedorn.
Thank you, Will. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2022 Meet the Candidates Forum for the City of Camdenton Municipal election to be held on Tuesday, April 5th. This joint forum is the result of a collaborative effort by the Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce, the Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and is presented by Lake TV. We welcome all the viewers who are joining us online, live on Lake TV. 3 candidates will be on the ballot for the 2-year term in Ward 2. We are pleased to have all 3 candidates joining us this evening. First, Bonnie Black, Brendan West, and Daniel Owsley. Thank you for joining us. 2 candidates will be on the ballot for the 2-year term in Ward 3. Joining us tonight is Latricia Mayer. Thank you for joining us this evening. On behalf of Lake TV and all of the voters of the City of Camdenton, we thank you for your attendance and participation and looking forward to getting to know each of you a bit better and learn about your thoughts and views on Camdenton City government. Before we get started, we do have a few ground rules to cover. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening and closing comments, and 1 minute to respond to each selected question. We have a timekeeper and a clock up front. Once the question is completed and the response begins, the clock will start. Please be aware of your time, or I will be obliged to make you aware. If there are no questions, comments, or concerns, we will start with our own opening statements. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to speak. Determined by a random draw, our first speaker will be Mr. Daniel Owsley.
My name is Daniel Owsley. First and foremost, I'm a Christian with conservative values. I love my family. I love my Camdenton community. I also, in my free time, I serve on the Camden County chapter of We the People in Camdenton, and I'm also on the Camden County Central Committee. I just want to serve and give back to the community.
Thank you, Daniel. Our next speaker, determined by random draw, in Ward 2 will be Brendan West. Ward 1, sorry. Ward 1, my fault.
Oh.
First off, thank you for having us. I really appreciate this format. It's getting us all to be able to speak and actually introduce ourselves to each other, too. My name is Brendan West. I am running for Ward 1 Alderman. I moved here at the lake in 2006. I bought my house in Camdenton with my wife in 2008. We lived there. We raising 2 daughters. One's in kindergarten, one's in 4th grade. I love this town. I love everything about Camdenton. I chose to run just on the fact that I wanted to be involved. I couldn't stand on the sidelines and not get involved. I have nothing against the folks that are in office right now. I think they do a great job. I just think I can bring a newer, younger voice to the board, to the alderman position, and be excited and share my excitement about Camdenton and the things to continue to grow, because I know it's an unbelievable place. We have lots of young families moving into the area, and I want to be a part of that, of welcoming them and bringing more businesses to the area so that they will be able to enjoy it, and highlighting some of the things that most people don't know about Camdenton, some of the great events that we have. I'm on the board of directors for the LOSA, which is the Lake of the Ozarks Soccer Association. I'm on the advisory board for LTCTC, and I'm the committee chair for the Parks and Recs board here in Camdenton. So I feel like I have a well-rounded person to represent Camdenton and the values of Camdenton that I believe are great. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brendan. Appreciate that. Our next speaker, also from Ward 1, will be Bonnie Black.
Thank you also for having us tonight. This is very nice. I moved to Camdenton when I was 18 months old. So I've been here for a long time. Graduated from Camdenton High School, and then, like most of the students around me, I left and went to college, taught, and when I retired, Camdenton is where we came back to. The house that we live in now, I moved into when I was 10. My parents had lived there the entire time. And when we retired, we thought, well, this is a great place to come back to, because I have lots of friends in Camdenton. I know the community. I started to join some organizations, and then I decided that I needed to try and serve a little bit more rather than just be in organizations. So I ran for Ward 1 Alderman, and I won with 32 votes that year. That was the number of votes that were cast, so I hope this year it's more. But since I've been on the board, we've done a lot of great things for the community. Our community is growing. We have new businesses coming in all the time, and new people joining the community. And a lot of them are getting involved in a lot of different groups and organizations to help make Camdenton better. We have a population that needs housing, and we're working with contractors to help get some housing for lower income, and also to build more community homes. I also am thrilled that we've been able to extend our runway at the airport. This is going to be a really added project for the city, and I think it'll make a big difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bonnie. And our final candidate for opening statements from Ward 3, Latricia Mayer.
Hi, thank you, like everyone else has stated, for giving this opportunity to address the constituents and the voters. My name is Latricia Mayer, but I go by Trish, to make it a lot simpler for anyone out there. I am originally from the Lake area. I'm a Lake native who was raised and graduated in Versailles. Upon graduation, I joined the military during the Gulf War. I was a proud active duty member of the United States Air Force for 8 years, and then I went into defense contracting. That took me around the world. I was based out of Colorado Springs, where I'd been the past 25 years. And when my children, I have 2 kids, a son and a daughter, and when they got to be a freshman and in 8th grade, I was young enough to, or fortunate enough from my military career going early to retire, decided I wanted my kids to come back here to the lake so they could experience the same values in the same area I did. Now that I've been back here for 7, 8 years going on now, I've realized that there's so much I could do to contribute, to give back. Both my children have graduated from Camdenton High School now and are on to their lives and their careers. And instead of being on the other side of attending the city council meetings with people like Miss Black. I thought it was time to step up and see if I could be on the other side to see what I could do to help the community. And I appreciate your vote.
Thank you very much. We put a call out to the community for pertinent questions regarding this particular election. We had a great number of questions submitted and had to make some tough choices to pare it down in the interest of time. Candidates will each have 1 minute to respond, and we will rotate the speaking order each time. The first question, and we're going to start down at this end with Brendan and work our way this way, and then the next time we'll move on down. But the first question that everyone will answer, question number 1, what inspired you to run for a seat on the Board of Aldermen? Is there a particular issue or issues that motivated you to seek election at this time?
Because I wanted to be involved. One of the main issues that I see is affordable housing. I started my career here at the lake working for Tantera, now known as Margaritaville, and I know the struggles of finding affordable housing here at the lake for our working, service industry workers. I especially with the new boom, even here at the lake, it's become even bigger of an issue. So that's one of the main reasons. The other reason is I have 2 young children and a wife that works here in Camdenton, and I want to see us grow and just continue to thrive as a great city. We have so much to offer, but we have that small town feel, but have all the amenities of a big city with our airport, like Ms. Black said, what's bringing in, to all of our other farmers markets, to other things that we have, some great businesses coming in. So that's why I decided to run.
Thank you, Brendan. Daniel, what inspired you to run for the seat on Board of Aldermen? Is there a particular issue or issues that motivated you to seek election at this time?
Yes, one of the reasons I decided to run for Board of Aldermen is my wife and I, we've always lived a debt-free lifestyle, and we believe in living within our means. I just feel like when it comes to budgeting and planning for the future, I think being financially responsible and all that is very important. I also believe that the most important issue we're facing is an affordable housing crisis. I just think we need to get together with community leaders, contractors, and figure out a plan what we can do to get things rolling, get some construction going on.
Thank you, Daniel. Next, Bonnie. What inspired you to run for a seat on the Board of Aldermen? Is there a particular issue or issues that motivated you to seek re-election at this time?
Well, the first time when I ran for Board of Aldermen, I wanted to be able to do more for the community. Camdenton has given me a lot in my lifetime, and I wanted to be able to give back. Since I've been on the board, it has grown, the city has grown. I've seen how the board works and how they take every issue and make sure that it's going to be something that will be beneficial to the community. I want to continue to do that. I also think housing is a very important issue, and I know the city is working on that as we speak. There's a lot of people in Camdenton that need help, and our community is one of the giving communities in the world. I don't know anyone in our community that doesn't give to someone else and help them. So that's why I'm running.
Thank you very much. And finally, Latricia, what inspired you to run for a seat on the Board of Aldermen? Is there a particular issue or issues that motivated you to seek election at this time?
Just Trish. Just kidding. Okay, just kidding. I'm motivated by the love of this community. I think that comes from being a native and being raised in this area and seeing the growth and the changes that have taken place. One of the main issues that I see going through town day to day that I would like to help with is our infrastructure that, in my opinion, has not been quite able to keep up with the growth that we've had with the incredible new restaurants, retail, et cetera. I think we need to look at on and off ramps, future stoplights, stop signs to help with the traffic flow going through the city to keep up with the growth that we have experienced. I think I can best help this position, given my experience with being in the military and the knowledge I've learned from traveling different places and then coming back and seeing the lake itself again.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, and we'll be starting with Mr. Owsley on this one. Dan, what are some of the things you think the city does well? What are some areas for improvement?
I know the city has I know the city administrator anyway is involved in a growth and development committee, and I know that the city's very involved with wanting Camdenton to grow and bring in new businesses and stuff like that. One thing I'd like to see is with Camdenton being the county seat, I'd like to see maybe a facelift for the square. You know, I mean, that's kind of when people come into town, that's the first thing they see is a square. And I don't know, that's just something small, but that's something I'd like to see.
Bonnie, what are some of the things you think the city does well? And what are some areas you think could have some improvement?
Okay, one thing that I think the city has done is they apply for great grants. We now have a grant that we're going to be resurfacing Highway 5, Business 5, from city limits to city limits, and that's going to take place later on this spring and summer. So that's going to be really, really helpful. If any of you drive on that highway, you know that it has needed it. Also, we're planning a welcoming sign on the square in Camdenton, and I think that's going to be something that people are going to be looking at and perhaps stopping for a little while and appreciating. As we get new businesses downtown, a lot of those businesses are upping their property. In other words, they're making their property look much better. And we have several new businesses coming into town that will be very impressive. My grandson is thrilled that Culver's is coming. And I think that's what they're doing good, is they're bringing businesses in.
Thank you very much. And finally, Trish, what are things you think the city does well? And what are areas for improvement?
Some of the things I really appreciate about Camdenton and the city overall, thanks to the council members, the mayor on down, the patriotism is amazing. Seeing the flags out on 4th of July, seeing the flag flying at the courthouse, the love of country is definitely still shown and appreciated here. Also, the overall beautification. When I drive around the other small towns in the area, they don't seem to be as well upkept as Camdenton. All the way from the greenery around the square to the decorations that they do at Christmas time for all the holidays. Those little things mean a lot to small town America, and it's a small thing, but it really does give you pride within your community, which is also expressed with our football team and the Lakers. They always put the Lakers flags up to get behind the local school, and I appreciate that as well. In regards to what I would like to see possibly improved is better accessibility to our council members and the mayor, and that information being more readily available to the public to know how to reach out with their concerns.
Thank you very much. Brendan, what are things you think the city does well, and what are areas for improvement?
First off, Trish, thanks for your service. We appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like they have done a phenomenal job. One thing that I just really take pride in is how well they accept and work with the small business owners in town. Especially you see that on the square, all the new businesses that are coming in. There are some great new businesses coming in, but I also see some really great small business owners being able to open up shop here in Camdenton. And as a community, I feel like we support them so well. Some of the things I would like to see us do a little better is develop those businesses so that more people know about them, not just here in Camdenton, but outside the area, that know about our small business owners, from the butcher shop to the spice shop on the square, the ice cream shop. Yeah, I don't want a ton of people there because I love going there too, but I think we should really champion those people and bring more in.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the next question, and Bonnie Black will lead us off on this one. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, a road, a bridge, something similar, how would you evaluate whether or not that project was worth implementing?
First of all, I would make sure that we needed it in town and that there wasn't a facility like it or that was serving the same purpose. I'd make sure that if someone was going to be building it, that they did have proper financing, that the building plans were approved, and make sure that the property and access to it is not going to impede traffic flow within that area. Also, as we add new businesses, especially on the square, one of the things we're going to be doing there, hopefully in the near future, is upgrading sidewalks. I think that that's something that's very important. And if a new business is going to be built, they need to make sure that they have access for handicapped people as well as themselves, inside and out. That's it.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Trish. If someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, a road or bridge, for example, how would you evaluate whether or not that project was worth implementing?
Well, first of all, I'd be honest in saying that's not something that I have personally dealt with outside of not being on a city council. So the first question would, of course, be cost. Something of that magnitude, I'm sure, would require lots of funding. So I would then go to the experienced members of the board who have that knowledge and rely upon them to gain from them so I can learn myself, the board members, the mayor, the commissioners, et cetera, to glean from their knowledge and then go forward with the public planning and hopefully, like I said, garner some experience from them so that I could better have the answers for those same kind of questions for people in the future.
Much. Brendan, if someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, a road, bridge, for example, how would you evaluate whether or not that project was worth implementing?
The first thing I would do is make sure that that project benefits everyone in the community, not just one group, but everyone in the group, everyone in the community, in the city. Also, financing is important, making sure that the finances are set for us to have that kind of infrastructure put in. And if it's any way possible to utilize local businesses to build that infrastructure for, say, a bridge or even a community center or something like that, that we used local contractors, local dollars that stay here locally to build that. So again, as a group, we're benefit from it, and also as a community benefit from being built with our local contractors, local business folks, that kind of stuff. So that'd be important to me.
Very good. And finally, on this question, Daniel, if someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of infrastructure in our city, a road or bridge, for example, how would you evaluate whether or not that project was worth implementing?
I think when it comes to major things like that, I think it's real important to get community input. Put it out there to the community. Hey, this is an idea. What do you think about it? Ask lots of questions. Seek out lots of answers from the community. Can we afford it? Do we need it? There's lots of questions, but I think something that's really important is community input when it comes to stuff like that.
Very good. Moving on to the next question. Trish will be leading us off on this one. If elected, how do you plan to keep your constituency informed on the issues facing the city and the decisions of their municipal government?
That goes back to the previous answer I'd given that maybe one of the things we're lacking is the accessibility to the community. I know where Ward 3 is to begin with. I have looked to see where my ward is, so that's pretty important. I think I would like to have more venues like this where we could reach out to the local people, let them know. I would be more than willing to go door to door, start with my local area, ask for their input and help. Readily accessible by email. I think that all city council members should have a council established email that is put onto the Camdenton website or in some way through the newspaper, this venue, etc., giving to the people so they know who their people are, their respective aldermen, and they have the opportunity to reach out themselves, or that we can, the other direction, reach out to them for their input.
Very good. Brendan, if elected, how do you plan to keep your constituency informed on the issues facing the city and decisions made by their municipal government?
Well, I think number one is if I'm elected, I think we need to be out in the community. I think we need to be going to events. We have a wonderful, farmers market on Saturday mornings. I know my wife's there every Saturday morning, but and I understand there's football games, but there's lots of events here in Camdenton, and I think as a city council member or alderman, you need to be out there and involved in going to these events and supporting our local businesses. Unfortunately or fortunately, there's social media, there's Facebook, there's those kind of things that can be utilized. I agree with Trish also on the the email system. I think is really good. I think it's just we take on a role. We ask people to vote for us. I think we need to be willing to sit down and listen and open our door and listen to what folks have to say. If they voted for us, then we speak for them, and that's important.
Thanks, sir. Daniel, if elected, how do you plan to keep your constituency informed on the issues facing the city and the decisions by their municipal government?
As an alderman, I mean, we are the voice of the people in our ward, the businesses in Camdenton. One thing that I am glad that I did was I talked to Mayor McNabb about getting contact information of all the aldermen on their website, and he did that, and I think that's great. I think having a line of communication where people can contact their alderman with questions or concerns is very important, and I'm really grateful that they did put all the aldermen's email addresses. So I mean, if you need to contact your alderman, you can do that. Communication is key when it comes to anything. So
very good. And finally, Bonnie, if elected, how do you plan to keep your constituency informed on the issues facing the city and the decisions made by their municipal government?
Well, as Daniel said, we now have email addresses for all of the aldermen, and they are listed on the website. I've had people write letters. Some of them have gone directly to me at home because people knew my address, and other ones have gone to the city about problems that they'd have in their property or in something that they needed fixed on their street. The way I would handle that is that I call that person and set up an appointment to go over and find out what's going on and what we can do. And then I check with the city. If it's something to do with the streets, I'll check with Bill and see what's going on with those streets and try and find an answer for that person. Oftentimes there is an answer, but it's not the answer that person wants, because there are several ideas that people have that they can do things, and it's against the law in the city. So I try and explain that also.
Thank you very much. All right, so the final question here before we move on to closing statements, and we'll be leading off with Brendan on this one. What experiences, personally, professionally, or otherwise, have prepared you to serve the city?
Well, I feel like I feel like living here in the city, having 2 young children in the school system, my wife working here in Camdenton, myself working just down the road, but living and being involved in different activities. I feel like I bring a new voice to the board, and that I can help us continue to grow as a city. Like I said earlier, there's wonderful things going on in Camdenton. but I feel like I can help continue that growth with some of my experiences in some of these other boards and hearing what the people in the community are going through and have going on, and that I can bring those problem solving to the board. That's what I feel like I can do.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Daniel. What experiences personally, professionally, or otherwise have prepared you to serve the city?
Well, I've been a small business owner. I've owned a business since '95. I'm always out in the community talking to other business owners, listening to their ideas, talking about Camdenton, what's going on, what can we do to improve things. I think just getting out there in the community and talking to other people in the community, business owners, just that's what it's about really, is communication. I like getting out there and being involved and being there for the community.
And Bonnie, what experiences personally, professionally, or otherwise have prepared you to serve the city?
Well, I belong to several organizations here in town. One is the Women's Literary Club. This is our 90th anniversary this year. And in my profession, I taught at the University of Arkansas in Little Rock and wrote many grants for federal grants and state grants. And so now I'm trying to put together a grant for the city. And if we're successful with it, and if we get it all finished up in time, it will be able to bring some equipment and recycled tables and different things into the park that will be using materials that are totally recyclable.
Thank you very much. And finally, Trish, what experiences personally, professionally, or otherwise have prepared you to serve the city?
As far as personally, I go back again to my love of this area. Being raised here and then traveling basically around the world, seeing everything else that was out there. This is where my heart was and where I brought my children back to, and where I chose to come and live out my last days, if you will. Having both my kids here, going through the local school system, I think that put me in touch with a large part of the community, as we do tend to rally around the school, because that's where a lot of our tax dollars go. I've also worked here locally. I was working at Lake Regional for the past 2.5 years, so I'm in touch with the local community and some of the larger businesses as well. Currently working at Jones Tile and Max Creek. And I think my government experience in writing proposals and on the side of the house that wasn't as much fun could actually come in handy in the political realm of helping with that kind of information.
Thank you very much. That concludes our question and answer portion of the evening, and we will now give each candidate an opportunity to make a closing statement of up to 2 minutes. We will go in reverse order of the opening statements, and again, please be aware of the timekeeper. This is your chance to speak directly to your constituents and ask them for their vote. Leading off will be Trish.
I got to go twice in a row. Okay, so Ward 3. I am your alderman candidate, or one of them. I would love the opportunity to serve you, to listen to your ideas, to be your voice within the Camdenton City Council chambers. I'm hoping that my background of contributing to my country and my love of this area can work to my benefit, so that it can work for our mutual benefit, and bringing the best that we can to this area to keep it the wonderful place that it is. I'm excited about the growth. I was totally shocked when I originally came back 8 years ago after being gone to see how much the lake has grown, but I think the growth is very exciting. We just need to make strides to make sure that we keep up with that growth, and not just worry about the tourist, but our locals first and foremost, in regards to the affordable housing, in regards to infrastructure, in regards to the things that we deal with on a year-round basis, not just in the summer when everybody wants to show up and have fun here at the lake. We're year-round. We're year-round people. Our homes are here. Our lives are here. And I want to continue making this the best community possible and even better going forward, and hope that I can do that with my constituents' help and with the rest of the board members' help.
Thank you very much. Moving on to Ward 1, our first speaker will be Bonnie Black.
I hope to get reelected to the board. I've served on the board for several terms and watched the city grow. On the ballot, you'll see my name as Bonnie Blankenship Black. That's because several people in the community know me, but not my last name. So we put the maiden name on there also, even though the last name has been with me for 50 years. I think the town is growing in the right direction. If there are things that come before the board that I don't agree with, I let them know. If there are rules and legislation that comes in and it doesn't agree with anything that is coming down from the state or the federal, I also try and figure that one out. But I hope that I can continue to serve Ward 1. We have a lot of issues in Ward 1 that need to be addressed. We need our roads fixed. There are several streets in Ward 1 that are in bad need of repair, as in other parts of the city. But I want to try and help wherever I can and also contribute to the future of the city and building more, how do I put it, more competent people coming up, our students, our young people, and trying to get them involved both in the city and in building a community. So I hope you'll vote for me, and I'll try and do my best.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker will be Brendan. Yep, and Daniel let us off earlier. Yeah, for the opening closing statements. Yep, with the questions, we moved a little different order just based on where you're sitting, but for the, gotcha. So, Brendan, you have 2 minutes, sir.
First off, I'd like to thank you, Luke. Very well run the KB, your radio show. Thank you very much. Will Holtz and Lake TV for hosting this. It's been a great event. I feel like we live in a small town because we have that small town feel, but we have a ton of big city amenities with the great stuff that our board is doing now. And have done in the past. Bonnie, what you guys have done with the airport and bringing small businesses into town has been great. I feel like I can add to that and help bring even more businesses in and help grow Camdenton and continue to grow Camdenton. So I really hope here in April that I get your vote for Ward 1 and help grow the city in the direction that we all want, where it becomes still a great community to live in and raise our families in. And that's why I chose to live in Camdenton, is to raise my family here. And I wanted to continue to be a part of the growth of Camdenton, and where we are going in the future looks like a bright future. I feel like I should be part of that and help that growth in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final speaker tonight, Mr. Daniel Owsley. 2 minutes.
As I said before, I just want to be the voice of the people and the business owners of my ward and of Camdenton. The business owners don't get a vote, but they should still have a voice. That's why I'm always out in the community talking to business owners, getting their ideas, getting their feedback. And one of the things I've learned through that is Camdenton's a great city, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of regulations, and when it comes to affordable housing, there's a lot of restrictions, and I've talked to several contractors, and it's so restrictive they're not interested in building. A lot of them are not interested in building affordable housing. I just think that some of that the restrictions need to be cut back, and I just would like to be a part of that, part of the growth, and I hope to get your vote. Thanks.
Thank you very much. This concludes our 2022 City of Camdenton Municipal Election Meet the Candidates Forum. Thank you to Lake TV, the Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Camdenton Area Chamber of Commerce for all their efforts producing the forums this election cycle. This valuable service to the voters of our communities would not have happened without the selfless efforts of so many folks. Also, thank you for your willingness to not only join us tonight, but to let the voters hear directly from you, but for your willingness to put your name on the line in an effort to help your fellow citizens. And thank you to all of you who tuned in tonight. And make sure you make your voice heard at the polls on April 5th. Godspeed, everyone. Good night.
What is COMC? A health center where everyone has access to high-quality, affordable medical, dental, and behavioral health care, regardless of insurance or ability to pay. Offering primary care, preventative, chronic, pediatrics, and OBGYN. COMC even offers comprehensive dental and same-day emergency care. A health center that focuses on every aspect of your health. Everything your family needs to stay healthy. At COMC, your health is our mission.
Discovered over a century and a half ago, Bridal Cave continues to amaze those who venture through it. As you tour through Bridal Cave, you'll see massive onyx formations, giant columns, and the one and only Mystery Lake. Bridal Cave's unique stalactite-adorned bridal chapel has provided a truly unique backdrop for over 3,000 couples from around the world. Bridal Cave is open daily, rain or shine. Guided tours leave every few minutes. Come explore the lake's favorite natural attraction. Explore Bridal Cave today.
There's a new radio station at the lake, a radio station that's geared towards the community, a radio station where you can have a hand in what we do. Welcome to Key Radio, a community-based radio station that invites you to be a part